Hey story enthusiasts! This is another Harry bringing you another gem. In this video, we present to you what if Wednesday's psychic powers connected her to Harry's scar and she invaded his mind at age 8. If you enjoy these stories as much as we enjoy sharing them, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Let's dive in. Chapter 1, Whispers in the Dark. Wednesday Addams stared at her bedroom ceiling, fingers laced across her chest like a tiny corpse. Sleep refused to come. The grandfather clock downstairs chimed 3 times, its deep gong echoing through the Addams mansion. Her black cat, Apocalypse, curled at her feet, purring softly. Another tedious night, she whispered to the darkness. At 8 years old, Wednesday already found the world painfully mundane. She'd spent the day dissecting frogs with her brother Pugsley, but even that had grown stale. Nothing surprised her anymore. Nothing thrilled her. She closed her eyes, willing herself to drift into unconsciousness. Sleep eventually took her, but instead of her usual dreams of graveyards and torture chambers, she felt a strange pulling sensation. Like someone had hooked her behind the navel and yanked. The bedroom disappeared. Darkness surrounded her, then scattered images flashed by, a cramped space with spiders, a large man with a purple face shouting, a skinny woman with a horse-like neck, a fat boy pushing someone downstairs. Wednesday didn't feel afraid. Just curious. The images slowed, and she found herself looking through someone else's eyes. Small hands, not her own pale ones, but a boy's slightly darker ones, reached up to push broken glasses higher on a nose she couldn't see but somehow felt. A voice boomed nearby. "Boy! Did you finish cleaning the gutters?" Fear shot through her body, not her fear, she realized. Someone else's fear. The vision blurred as the boy stood quickly, bumping his head on a low ceiling. That's when Wednesday realized he was in some kind of cupboard. Understairs. Who keeps a child understairs? "Coming, Uncle Vernon," the boy called out, his voice high and trembling. Wednesday felt herself pulled along as the boy scrambled out of the tiny space. She saw a hallway, pristine and ordinary in the most disturbing way possible. Photos lined the walls, a large man, the horse-faced woman, and their blob of a son. The boy wasn't in any of them. "You've missed a spot, you worthless little freak," the large man, Uncle Vernon, growled, pointing to a corner of the gutter that still contained a few leaves. The boy climbed the ladder again, arms shaking from exhaustion. Wednesday could feel his hunger pangs, the ache in his muscles, the stinging in his palms from hours of work. She felt anger rise inside her, her own this time. Who treated a child like this? The vision started fading. Wednesday concentrated, trying to hold on, but it slipped away. She woke with a gasp in her own bed, Apocalypse hissing at her sudden movement. "Fascinating," she whispered, eyes wide in the darkness. Wednesday sat up, mind racing. She'd read about psychic connections before, Mother had several books on the subject, but she'd never experienced anything like this. It wasn't a dream. The emotions felt too raw, too real. She slid out of bed, her black nightgown brushing against her ankles as she padded across the cold floor to her bookshelf. Pulling out Telepathic Connections Through the Ages, she flipped through the yellowed pages by moonlight. "Emotional distress can trigger psychic bridges," she read aloud. "Particularly between those with innate magical abilities or shared trauma." Wednesday pondered this. She certainly had innate abilities, all Addamses did, but she'd never met this boy. She had no idea who he was or where he lived. The accent suggested England. The abuse suggested monsters, and not the good kind. She spent the rest of the night reading, making notes in her journal with a quill dipped in squid ink. By morning, she had a plan. At breakfast, she sat silently, picking at her scorpion eggs while her mind worked. "Wednesday, darling, you've hardly touched your breakfast," Mother said, her voice smooth as silk. "Is everything all right?" "I had an interesting dream," Wednesday replied, choosing her words carefully. She didn't want her family interfering before she understood what was happening. About a boy in a cupboard. How delightful, Mother smiled. Was it a torture cupboard? No. A regular cupboard. Under stairs. His family puts him there. Father lowered his newspaper. Sounds rather uninspired. No chains. No spikes. No. Wednesday stabbed a scorpion egg with her fork. Just neglect and psychological abuse. It's disappointingly conventional. Her parents exchanged glances, clearly unimpressed by such ordinary cruelty. After breakfast, Wednesday retreated to her room. She needed to try connecting to the boy again. If it had happened once, it could happen again. She lay on her bed, closed her eyes, and concentrated on the feeling she'd experienced just before the connection formed. Nothing happened. She tried different positions, lying down, sitting cross-legged, standing on her head. Nothing worked. After 3 hours, she growled in frustration. Perhaps it only works when he's experiencing strong emotions, she mused, scratching Apocalypse behind the ears. Or when he's asleep, like I was. She'd have to wait until night again. The time difference between New Jersey and England might work in her favor. That night, Wednesday prepared properly. She arranged black candles in a circle around her bed, sprinkled crushed graveyard dirt on her pillow, and hung a dream catcher made of bones and sinew above her headboard. She lay down at exactly midnight, Apocalypse keeping watch from the windowsill. Find the boy, she whispered, closing her eyes. Find the connection. She focused on the memory of him, broken glasses, skinny frame, the feeling of constant hunger and fear. Hours passed. Just as she was about to give up, she felt it, that pulling sensation behind her navel. The darkness swirled, and suddenly she was there again, looking through his eyes. The boy lay on a thin mattress in the cupboard, a spider crawling across the low ceiling. His stomach growled painfully. She could feel the emptiness, he hadn't eaten all day. Punishment for burning the bacon at breakfast. Wednesday concentrated harder, trying something new. Can you hear me? She projected the thought with all her might. The boy stiffened. He looked around the small space. Hello. She tried again. Who's there? He whispered aloud, voice trembling. My name is Wednesday Adams. I'm in your head. Don't be afraid. The boy sat up, banging his head on the stairs above. I'm going mad, he whispered. Aunt Petunia always says I'll end up crazy like my parents. You're not crazy. I'm real. I'm having some kind of psychic connection with you. Psychic? Uncle Vernon says that's all rubbish. Your uncle is an idiot. And cruel. Why do they keep you in a cupboard? The boy hesitated. I'm not supposed to complain. Or talk about family matters with strangers. I'm not exactly a stranger anymore. I'm in your head. What's your name? Harry. Harry Potter. Well, Harry Potter, your relatives are terrible people. A small laugh escaped him, quickly muffled by his hand. You sound like a little girl. I'm 8 years old. And I'm not little. I'm 8 too. The excitement in his voice was palpable. But how are you talking to me? Are you a witch? The question startled Wednesday. Why would you ask if I'm a witch? I dunno. Weird things happen around me sometimes. Uncle Vernon and Aunt Petunia hate it. They say there's no such thing as magic, but magic is very real, Harry Potter. My whole family practices it. Really? Hope bloomed through the connection. Can you teach me? Perhaps. First I need to figure out how this connection works. Where exactly are you? Number 4, Privet Drive, Little Whinging, Surrey. England, then. I'm in New Jersey. America. Blimey. That's incredible. You're all the way across the ocean. Distance means nothing to true power, Harry Potter. Their conversation continued through the night. Harry told her about his life with the Dursleys, the chores, the neglect, his cousin Dudley's bullying. Wednesday told him about the Addams family, their mansion, her pet spider and her brother's octopus. As dawn approached in England, Wednesday felt the connection weakening. "I have to go soon. But I'll try to connect again tomorrow night. Promise?" The desperation in his voice made something shift inside her. "I promise. And an Addams never breaks a promise. It brings terrible dishonor." "Will you be my friend, Wednesday?" he asked quietly. Wednesday paused. She didn't have friends. She didn't want friends. But this boy. Yes. "I'll be your friend, Harry Potter." The connection broke, and Wednesday found herself back in her bedroom, the candles burned down to stubs. Sunlight streamed through the windows. She'd spent the entire night connected to Harry's mind. She felt different. Focused. For the first time in years, something had surprised her. Something had caught her interest. Over the next few nights, Wednesday refined her technique. She discovered she could connect to Harry almost at will now, especially when he was sleeping or experiencing strong emotions. She witnessed the Dursleys' mistreatment firsthand, Harry cooking breakfast while standing on a stool, being chased up a tree by his cousin's friend's dog, locked in his cupboard for days after making a teacher's wig turn blue somehow. "That was impressive magic," she told him after the wig incident. "Completely unconscious control. You have power." "I didn't mean to do it," Harry whispered into the darkness of his cupboard. "It just happened. I was scared, and then suddenly her wig was blue." Emotion often triggers innate abilities. "My cousin Itt once made all the hair fall off the school bully's head. It never grew back." Harry laughed, then quickly muffled the sound with his thin blanket. Their connection grew stronger each night. Wednesday could now see Harry's surroundings clearly, hear everything he heard. Sometimes she could even feel physical sensations, the sting when Aunt Petunia swatted him with a frying pan, the ache in his knees after hours of gardening. But one night, something strange happened. She connected to Harry as usual, but his mind felt different, fractured somehow. He was having a nightmare. A terrible one, judging by how his consciousness thrashed against hers. Images flashed through their connected minds, a green light, a woman's scream, high-pitched laughter. The smell of something burning. Pain, splitting, tearing pain in his forehead. Wednesday pushed deeper, curious about this nightmare that felt too vivid, too specific to be ordinary. She found herself in a strange place, not quite Harry's mind anymore, but something else. Something older. Darker. A presence lurked there. It noticed her immediately. "Who dares?" A cold, high voice echoed through the mental space. Not Harry's voice. Not a child's voice at all. Wednesday didn't back away. Addamses never showed fear. "I dare." "Who are you, and why are you in my friend's head?" The presence seemed surprised at her directness. It swirled around her, testing, probing. Such darkness in one so young. Fascinating. "You didn't answer my question," Wednesday pressed. "I am a memory. A fragment. The remains of greatness shattered." Before Wednesday could respond, she felt Harry's consciousness stirring, pushing against the nightmare. The dark presence retreated, slithering back into some hidden corner of Harry's mind. Harry woke with a gasp, and Wednesday felt his hand reach up to touch his forehead, specifically, a lightning-shaped scar that always seemed to hurt after these nightmares. "Harry, you're awake," she said. "Wednesday? Did you see my nightmare?" His voice trembled. "Yes. That wasn't just a nightmare, Harry. There's something inside your scar. Something alive." "My scar? Aunt Petunia said I got it in the car crash that killed my parents." "That wasn't from any car crash. That's a cursed scar." "A what?" "A mark left by powerful dark magic." And there's something living in it. A fragment of someone else. Harry's fear pulsed through their connection. Like, possession. Am I possessed? Not exactly. It's dormant most of the time. But I think your nightmares wake it up. Can you get rid of it? Wednesday considered this. Not from here. I'd need to examine it in person. With my family's help. The next night, Wednesday made a decision. She needed to tell her family about Harry. About the connection. About the dark presence in his scar. This was beyond her capabilities alone. At dinner, she cleared her throat. The entire family looked at her, mother, father, Pugsley, grandmama, Lurch, and Uncle Fester. I've made contact with a boy in England, she announced. Psychically. Father lowered his fork, eyes brightening. A séance? Without us? Wednesday, I'm so proud. Not a dead boy, father. A living one. His name is Harry Potter. He's 8, like me. He lives with his abusive relatives who keep him in a cupboard under the stairs. How delightfully medieval, Mother murmured. There's more, Wednesday continued. He has magical abilities. Untrained, but powerful. And he has a cursed scar on his forehead that contains a fragment of someone else's consciousness. Someone dark and powerful. The table fell silent. Even Uncle Fester stopped chewing on his light bulb. Grandmama spoke first. A soul fragment? Are you certain, child? I've spoken to it. It's older than Harry. Colder. It called itself, the remains of greatness shattered. Father and mother exchanged glances. That sounds like a Horcrux, father said gravely. Old, dark magic. Extremely rare. What's a Horcrux? Pugsley asked, stabbing his steak with a dagger. A vessel containing a piece of a wizard's soul, Grandmama explained. Created through murder. Split from the main soul through the ultimate act of evil. Cool. Pugsley grinned. Not cool, dear, Mother corrected. Soul magic is nothing to play with. Even we Adamses recognize that. Wednesday leaned forward. I want to help him. I want to get him away from those people. And I want to understand this connection between us. Father stroked his mustache thoughtfully. The British wizarding authorities won't like us interfering. They're notoriously territorial. And if this boy has a Horcrux in his scar, he may be important to them. I don't care, Wednesday said flatly. He's being abused. And he's my friend. The word felt strange on her tongue. Friend. She'd never used it before. Mother's eyes softened. Gomez, our Wednesday has made her first friend. We must support this. Father nodded solemnly. Of course, Morticia. Family comes first, and friends of the family are like family. He turned to Wednesday. Tell us everything you know about this Harry Potter and his situation. Wednesday spent the next hour explaining everything she'd learned through her psychic connection, Harry's life with the Dursleys, his accidental magic, the nightmares, the scar, the presence within it. By the time she finished, Father was pacing, twirling his walking stick. Potter, the name sounds familiar. There was a wizarding family in England by that name. Old money, powerful magic. If this boy is their heir. His parents died when he was a baby, Wednesday said. His aunt told him it was a car crash, but I think that's a lie. Almost certainly, Mother agreed. No car crash would leave a cursed scar like you've described. Grandmama hobbled over to the ancient bookshelf and pulled out a massive tome bound in what appeared to be human skin. I need to confirm something, she muttered, flipping through brittle pages. Wednesday waited impatiently as Grandmama read, her gnarled finger tracing lines of text. Ah! Grandmama finally exclaimed. Here it is. The Potter family. James and Lily Potter were killed on Halloween night, 1981. Their son, Harry, survived a killing curse cast by the dark wizard Voldemort, who disappeared that same night. The boy became known as the boy who lived in the wizarding community. Survived a killing curse. Father whistled. Impossible, by all accounts. Unless, Mother said softly, the curse rebounded and tore the caster's soul apart. A fragment could have attached to the only living thing in the room. Harry, Wednesday whispered. The implications hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just any boy. This was a boy who had somehow defeated a powerful dark wizard as an infant. A boy who carried a piece of that wizard inside him. We have to help him, Wednesday insisted. Father nodded decisively. We'll leave for England tomorrow. Thing, pack my traveling guillotine. Lurch, prepare the broomsticks. Lurch groaned in acknowledgement. We'll need to be careful, Mother cautioned. If this boy is who we think he is, he'll be monitored by the British Ministry of Magic. There will be wards, protections. No ward can keep out an Adams, Grandmama cackled. Wednesday felt a surge of something unfamiliar. Hope, perhaps. Or anticipation. I'll tell Harry tonight that we're coming. That night, she connected to Harry with renewed purpose. Harry, are you awake? Wednesday. His mental voice sounded relieved. I was hoping you'd come. Uncle Vernon locked me in again. I spilled paint on Dudley's new trainers. Was it an accident? A hint of mischief colored his thoughts. Not exactly. Wednesday felt a surge of approval. Good. Listen, Harry. My family and I are coming to get you. What? How? When? Soon. Tomorrow, possibly the next day. We're flying to England. But, what about the Dursleys? They won't let me go. They won't have a choice. Wednesday let a hint of darkness seep into her thoughts. No one keeps an Adams from their friend. Harry's excitement and fear mingled through their connection. What will happen to me? Where will I go? You'll come live with us, of course. In our mansion. You can have the room next to mine. It has its own Iron Maiden. What's an Iron Maiden? Medieval torture device. Don't worry, we'll remove the spikes. Unless you want to keep them. Harry's laughter bubbled through their connection. You're joking, right? Wednesday didn't answer that. The important thing is, we're going to help you with that thing in your scar. Harry sobered immediately. You really think there's something living in my scar? I know there is. I've spoken to it. What does it want? I don't know yet. But we're going to find out. Together. As their connection began to fade for the night, Harry's gratitude washed over her like a wave. Thank you, Wednesday. No one's ever cared before. The word stirred something in Wednesday's chest, an unfamiliar ache. Get some rest, Harry Potter. We'll see each other soon. In person. The next day, the Addams family prepared for their journey. Father arranged for their private jet, shaped like a giant bat, to be ready by nightfall. Mother packed essential potions and talismans. Grandmama consulted ancient texts on soul magic and possession. Wednesday sat in her room, organizing her collection of cursed objects. She selected a few she thought Harry might like, a music box that played funeral dirges, a snow globe containing what appeared to be tiny screaming souls, a knife that always returned to its owner. Pugsley poked his head in. So this Harry guy, is he cool? Does he like explosives? I don't know, Wednesday replied honestly. He's been raised by normal people. The worst kind of normal. But there's darkness in him. Potential. Pugsley nodded seriously. Everyone has potential for darkness. Grandmama says so. His is different. Wednesday picked up her voodoo doll collection. It's not just in him. It's on him. Part of him. The soul fragment. Pugsley plopped down on her bed. Yes. I think it's changing him. Influencing him. Is that bad? Wednesday considered this. I don't know yet. That evening, as the family prepared to leave for the airport, Wednesday connected to Harry one last time before their journey. Harry, we're leaving soon. We should arrive in England by morning your time. I'm scared, Wednesday. What if they catch you? What if they hurt you? Adamses don't get hurt, Harry. We do the hurting. I don't want anyone to get hurt because of me. Wednesday sensed his genuine concern. We'll be subtle, then. For you. Promise? I promise not to let my family kill your relatives. Though they deserve it. Thank you. His relief was palpable. When will you come? How will I know it's you? Trust me, Harry Potter. You'll know. As the connection faded, Wednesday felt a strange anticipation building. Tomorrow, she would meet Harry in person. Tomorrow, she would see the scar, and the fragment within it, with her own eyes. Tomorrow, everything would change. Wednesday. Father called from downstairs. The hearse is waiting to take us to the airfield. Wednesday grabbed her packed suitcase, gave her room one last look, and headed downstairs to join her family. Their journey to save Harry Potter had begun. Chapter 2, Crossing Boundaries. The Addams family's private jet cut through the night sky, shaped like an enormous bat with wings that occasionally flapped. Inside, Wednesday sat beside the window, watching clouds pass below. Normally, she enjoyed the peaceful darkness of night flights, but tonight her mind buzzed with anticipation. You seem troubled, my little viper, Mother said, sliding into the seat across from her. Are you worried about your friend? Wednesday nodded. His uncle was particularly cruel yesterday. I felt Harry's fear through our connection. Fear can be delicious, Mother mused, but not when inflicted on children by ordinary bullies. There's no artistry in it. We'll rectify the situation soon enough, Father declared, polishing a strange-looking dagger. No friend of the Addams family suffers at the hands of mundane tormentors. Grandmama shuffled down the aisle, carrying an ancient tome. I've been researching soul fragments, she announced, dropping the heavy book onto the table between them. If this boy truly carries a Horcrux, removing it won't be simple. Most extraction methods kill the host. That would be counterproductive, Wednesday said flatly. Indeed, Grandmama cackled. But I found an old ritual, tricky, dangerous, deliciously dark, that might work. We'd need specific ingredients, though. A bone from the maker's father, blood of an enemy. Let's focus on retrieving Harry first, Mother suggested. We can gather ritual components later. Wednesday turned back to the window. I need to warn him we're coming. The time difference works in our favor, it's early morning in England now. Closing her eyes, Wednesday focused on the connection that had become so familiar. The pull behind her navel, the rushing sensation, then, Harry's consciousness connected with hers. He was already awake, sweeping the kitchen floor while his aunt supervised. Harry, we're on our way. She felt his startled recognition, then excitement mingled with anxiety. Boy! Why have you stopped sweeping? Aunt Petunia's shrill voice cut through their connection. Sorry, Aunt Petunia, Harry muttered, resuming his chore. We'll arrive in a few hours. Be ready to leave immediately. Don't pack anything, we'll provide everything you need. Harry's doubt flickered through their connection. How will you get past Uncle Vernon? He's home today. Wednesday allowed a small mental smile. My family has ways of dealing with obstacles. Their connection weakened as the plane began its descent. I have to go now. Be ready, Harry Potter. The jet landed at a private airfield outside London just before dawn. A sleek black hearse, arranged by Father's overseas contacts, waited for them on the tarmac. Ah, England! Father exclaimed, inhaling deeply as they exited the plane. Smell that misery in the air. Centuries of plague, war, and proper tea-time etiquette. It's invigorating, Mother agreed, her long black dress billowing in the morning breeze. The family piled into the hearse, Father, Mother, Wednesday, Pugsley, Grandmama, Uncle Fester, and Lurch, who had to crouch to fit inside. Things scuttled onto the dashboard, occasionally tapping directions as they drove. Little Whinging should be about an hour from here, Father announced, consulting a map. Dreadfully normal-sounding place. The worst kind of normal, Wednesday muttered. As they drove, Wednesday briefed the family on what to expect. The house is aggressively ordinary. 4 Privet Drive. Harry's uncle is large and loud. His aunt is nosy and mean. Their son is spoiled and cruel. And Harry? Uncle Fester asked, screwing a light bulb into his ear. Small for his age. Hungry most of the time. Broken glasses. Lightning-shaped scar on his forehead. Ah, the Horcrux. Grandmama cackled. We don't know that for certain, Mother cautioned. I felt it, Wednesday insisted. It's alive. Aware. The hearse turned onto Privet Drive just as the morning sun crested over identical rooftops. The street was empty, the residents either still asleep or already gone to work. The Addams family observed the row of identical houses with undisguised disgust. So conformist, Mother whispered, shuddering delicately. Not a single gargoyle or dead tree in sight. Look at those gardens, Father grimaced. Orderly. Manicured. Not a single poisonous plant among them. Number 4, Wednesday pointed to a house indistinguishable from its neighbors except for the brass number on the door. Harry's in there. I can feel him. Lurch parked the hearse directly in front of the house, not bothering to hide their arrival. Wednesday knew subtlety wasn't the Addams way. If they wanted Harry, they would simply take him. Remember your promise, she reminded her family as they approached the front door. No killing. Spoilsport, Pugsley mumbled. Father straightened his pinstriped suit and rang the doorbell. The chime echoed inside, followed by heavy footsteps. The door swung open, revealing Vernon Dursley in all his purple-faced glory. His mustache twitched as he took in the bizarre family on his doorstep. Whatever you're selling, we don't want any, he growled, already moving to close the door. Father jammed his walking stick in the gap. My dear sir. We're not selling anything. We've come about your nephew. Vernon's face darkened. I don't know what you're talking about. We don't have a nephew. Wednesday stepped forward. Harry Potter. 8 years old. Lives in the cupboard under your stairs. The color drained from Vernon's face, then returned twofold. How dare you? Who are you people? What business do you have with, we're the Addams family, Mother interrupted smoothly. And Harry is connected to our Wednesday in a most fascinating way. Psychically, Grandmama added helpfully. Get out. Vernon bellowed. There's no such thing as, Father pushed the door open with surprising strength, forcing Vernon backward. No such thing as what? Magic? Psychic connections? I assure you, my rotund friend, these things are quite real. The Addams family streamed into the house, ignoring Vernon's spluttering protests. Petunia appeared in the hallway, her horse-like face contorted in horror. Vernon! Who are these people? Why are they in our house? We've come for the boy, Uncle Fester announced cheerfully, removing the light bulb from his ear and tossing it into the air. It exploded with a pop, showering the immaculate hallway with glass. Wednesday ignored the adults and focused on finding Harry. She felt his presence, excited, terrified, hopeful, behind the cupboard door. She knelt and knocked softly. Harry. It's Wednesday. Open the door. The small door cracked open, revealing a thin face with startlingly green eyes behind broken glasses. Those eyes widened as they took in Wednesday's pale face and black dress. Wednesday, he whispered, as if he couldn't believe she was real. Were you expecting someone else? A smile broke across his face, the first real smile Wednesday had seen from him. He pushed the door open wider and stepped out. In person, Harry looked even smaller and more fragile than he had through their connection. His clothes hung off his skinny frame, clearly hand-me-downs from his cousin. His black hair stuck up in all directions, partially hiding the lightning-shaped scar on his forehead. But his eyes, those were different in person. They blazed with life, with a power Wednesday could feel pulsing between them. You came, he said simply. You actually came. I promised. Wednesday held out her hand. Are you ready to leave? Before Harry could answer, a scream erupted from the living room. Petunia had apparently discovered Pugsley examining their television with a screwdriver. These people are insane, Vernon. Call the police. Petunia shrieked. That won't be necessary, Father called, his voice suddenly steely. We're simply here to correct a grievous wrong. You've abused and neglected a child in your care. A magical child, no less. There's no such thing as magic. Vernon roared, face turning dangerously purple. Wednesday tugged Harry toward the living room. You should watch this, she whispered. It will be educational. In the living room, the Addams family had formed a semicircle around the cowering Dursleys. Mother's fingers trailed along the mantelpiece, examining the numerous photos of Dudley with obvious distaste. Not a single portrait of your nephew, she observed. How telling. The boy is nothing to us, Vernon spat. We took him in out of the goodness of our hearts when his worthless parents got themselves killed. Wednesday felt Harry flinch beside her. She squeezed his hand tighter. His parents, Father said calmly, were Lily and James Potter. Powerful wizards murdered by an even more powerful dark wizard. Their son survived a killing curse, the only person in history to do so. He is, in short, extraordinarily special. The Dursleys' faces registered shock, then fear. How do you know that? Petunia whispered. Are you, one of them? We're something else entirely, Mother smiled, her teeth gleaming. Though we do appreciate the magical arts. Uncle Fester had wandered into the kitchen and returned with a fork, which he proceeded to stick into an electrical outlet. The lights flickered as he giggled with delight. We're taking Harry with us, Wednesday announced. He belongs with people who understand what he is. You can't just take him. Vernon blustered, finding his courage again. We're his legal guardians. Actually, Father pulled a roll of parchment from his jacket. We filed emergency magical guardianship papers with the American Congress of Magic this morning. Technically, we now share guardianship with you, at least until a proper hearing can be arranged. American what? Vernon looked bewildered. You're welcome to contest it, Mother added sweetly. Though that would mean acknowledging the existence of magic, wouldn't it? Vernon opened and closed his mouth like a fish out of water. Pack your things, Harry, Wednesday instructed. Harry shook his head. I don't have anything worth taking. Perfect. We'll buy you everything you need. Suddenly, a loud boom shook the house, rattling windows and knocking pictures from the walls. Outside, the sky had darkened unnaturally, clouds swirling in a vortex above number 4. Oh dear, Mother murmured. It seems we've triggered the wards. Wards? Harry asked, looking up at the ceiling fearfully. Magical protections, Wednesday explained. Probably blood wards, given that you're living with relatives. We need to leave, Grandmama announced, stuffing various household items into her bag, silverware, a clock, Petunia's pearl necklace. The British ministry will have detected the disturbance. You're not taking him. Vernon made a desperate lunge for Harry, but Lurch stepped between them, growling deep in his throat. Vernon backpedaled so quickly he tripped over an armchair and crashed to the floor. This isn't over, he threatened from his undignified position. We know people. Important people. So do we, father grinned. Though ours tend to have more tentacles. Come along, family. And Harry, of course. The Addams family moved as one toward the door, forming a protective circle around Harry. As they stepped outside, Wednesday noticed the neighbors peeking through curtains at the strange scene. Our carriage awaits, father declared dramatically, gesturing to the hearse. Harry hesitated at the threshold, looking back at the only home he'd known since infancy. Bad as it was, it represented certainty. The Addamses offered only the unknown. They'll hurt you, he whispered to Wednesday. When they find out you took me. Let them try, Wednesday replied, feeling the connection between them pulse with shared emotion. We're stronger together. Harry nodded, took a deep breath, and stepped over the threshold. Immediately, a crack like thunder split the air. The ground beneath their feet trembled. The wards are collapsing. Grandmama cackled with delight. Such drama. To the hearse, quickly now. Father urged, ushering everyone down the path. They piled in, Harry squeezed between Wednesday and Pugsley in the back seat. The engine roared to life under Lurch's guidance, and they peeled away from Privet Drive just as the first colorful sparks of magical energy erupted from the roof of number 4. What's happening? Harry asked, twisting in his seat to look back. Blood wards failing, Wednesday explained. You're no longer protected by your mother's sacrifice. My mother's what? Later, Wednesday said, noting the confusion on Harry's face. First, we need to get somewhere safe. Where are we going? Harry asked. The ancestral Addams property in the Yorkshire moors, father answered from the front seat. Hasn't been inhabited for a century or so. Should be nicely decrepit by now. Perfect for lying low, mother added. And performing the ritual, if necessary. Harry's anxiety spiked through their connection. Wednesday could feel his thoughts racing, doubts forming. Don't worry, she projected directly into his mind. We won't hurt you. Harry startled. You can still do that? Even though we're together now? Our connection is growing stronger, not weaker. I can sense your emotions more clearly now. I'm scared, he admitted. Good. Fear keeps you alert. Harry's mental laughter surprised her. You're exactly how I imagined. As they drove north, leaving the suburbs behind for rolling countryside, Wednesday observed Harry's reactions to his first taste of freedom. He pressed his face against the window, drinking in the scenery with undisguised wonder. Have you ever left Surrey before? She asked. Harry shook his head. Never. The Dursleys wouldn't take me anywhere. Said I'd embarrass them. Their loss, Pugsley chimed in, offering Harry a suspicious-looking candy. Want one? Made it myself. It might turn your tongue blue. Or make it swell up. I'm still perfecting the recipe. No thanks, Harry declined politely. Wednesday shot her brother a warning look. No experiments on Harry. Not yet, anyway. The "yet" made Harry glance at her nervously. The mood in the hearse shifted suddenly as father made a sharp turn onto a rural road. We have company, he announced, checking the rearview mirror. 2 vehicles following us since we left the motorway. Mother twisted in her seat to look. Ministry wizards, do you think? Most likely, Grandmama agreed, peering through a small set of opera glasses. Black cars, tinted windows. Very government. Can we outrun them? Harry asked anxiously. Outrun them? Uncle Fester laughed. My dear boy, we're Addamses. We don't run from a fight. Though strategic retreat is occasionally warranted, father amended, pressing harder on the accelerator. Lurch, if you wouldn't mind taking over. Lurch growled in acknowledgement and climbed into the driver's seat as father slid out. The hearse lurched forward with increased speed, throwing everyone back against their seats. Now then, father said, rubbing his hands together gleefully. Let's prepare a proper welcome for our pursuers. The hearse sped along increasingly narrow country roads, the two black cars maintaining their distance behind them. Wednesday could feel Harry's heart racing, both through their physical proximity and their mental connection. "Those people," he said quietly, "they're wizards." "Like me?" "Not like you," Wednesday corrected. "You're special. They're just government bureaucrats with wands." "But they have magic." "A particular kind of magic," Mother explained from the front seat. "Channeled through wands, regulated by laws and limitations." "There are other kinds of magic, Harry." "Older kinds. The kind your family uses?" "Precisely," Mother smiled. "Magic that flows in the blood, in the connection to darkness and death. No wands, no silly Latin incantations. Though those can be fun too," Father added, pulling what looked like a shrunken head from his pocket. He whispered something to it, then tossed it out the window. The head bounced on the road, growing larger with each bounce until it was the size of a beach ball. The first black car swerved to avoid it, nearly careening into a ditch. "Ha! Direct hit," Father crowed. "My turn," Uncle Fester called, producing several small metal balls from his coat. He dropped them out the window, where they rolled under the pursuing vehicles. Moments later, loud pops echoed across the countryside as the tires of both cars blew out simultaneously. The cars skidded to a halt, smoke rising from their hoods. "That should slow them down," Uncle Fester cackled. "Not for long," Grandmama warned. "Ministry wizards can repair those cars with a flick of their wands." "Then we'd better make haste," Father declared. "Lurch, take the secret shortcut." Without warning, Lurch yanked the steering wheel hard to the left, sending the hearse crashing through a hedgerow and bouncing across an open field. Harry yelped in surprise, grabbing Wednesday's arm instinctively. "Is this the shortcut?" he gasped as they jolted over the uneven ground. "No," Wednesday replied calmly. "This is just Lurch's driving." The hearse plowed through another hedge, then another, cutting a diagonal path across the countryside. Behind them, flashes of light indicated the ministry wizards attempting to magically repair their vehicles. "We're close now," Father announced as they crashed onto a narrow dirt track that seemed to lead directly into the most forbidding part of the moors. Adams Manor should be just beyond that rise. The landscape grew wilder, darker, more forbidding with each passing mile. Mist curled around scraggly trees, and the hearse's headlights barely penetrated the gloom despite it being midday. "Ah, home away from home." Father sighed happily. "Feel that miasma of dread in the air." "Invigorating," Mother agreed. Harry leaned closer to Wednesday. "Is it always this, gloomy, where your family goes?" "We bring the gloom with us," Wednesday replied. "It's a gift." The hearse crested a hill, and Adams Manor came into view, a massive Gothic structure of dark stone and twisted spires, perched atop a rocky outcropping like a giant predatory bird. Lightning flashed behind it, though the sky had been clear moments before. "Wow," Harry breathed. "It's hideous," Wednesday suggested. "Beautiful," Harry corrected, his eyes wide with wonder. Something warm flickered in Wednesday's chest at his words. She quickly suppressed it. Adamses didn't do warm feelings. As they approached the manor, the iron gates swung open of their own accord, creaking ominously. The driveway was overgrown, weeds pushing through cracked paving stones. The hearse bounced and jostled its way to the front steps, where it finally shuddered to a halt. "Home sweet home," Father declared, leaping out of the vehicle. "At least for now. The wards here are ancient, even older than the Ministry of Magic. We should be safe while we decide our next move." The family exited the hearse, stretching after the long drive. Harry climbed out last, gazing up at the imposing structure with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Do people actually live here?" he asked. "Not for decades," Mother replied. "The last resident was Great-Aunt Morgana Adams, who reportedly vanished into her own shadow during a particularly enthusiastic séance. She still sends Christmas cards from the void, Uncle Fester added cheerfully. Though they tend to burn anyone who touches them. Harry blinked, clearly unsure whether they were joking. Wednesday took his hand and led him up the crumbling stone steps to the massive front door, which was adorned with a knocker shaped like a screaming face. Before they could reach for it, the door swung open with a drawn-out creak. "That's a good sign," Grandmama cackled. "The house remembers the Adams blood." They filed into the cavernous entrance hall, where dust sheets covered ancient furniture and cobwebs draped from a chandelier that looked to be made of human bones. The air smelled of decay and something else, something magical. "We should secure the perimeter," Father announced. "Fester, Lurch, check the grounds. Grandmama, see what's still functional in the kitchen. Wednesday, why don't you show Harry to a suitable room? Third floor east wing should have the least structural damage." As the family dispersed to their various tasks, Wednesday led Harry up a grand staircase that groaned alarmingly under their weight. Portraits along the wall seemed to follow their progress, eyes shifting behind layers of dust and grime. "Are those paintings moving?" Harry whispered. "Of course. All Adams' portraits are enchanted to capture not just the likeness but a fragment of the subject's soul." Harry's hand unconsciously moved to his scar. "Like, what's in me?" Wednesday paused on the landing, turning to face him. "No. What's in your scar isn't a fragment willingly given. It was torn away violently. That's different, darker." Harry swallowed hard. "Your grandma mentioned a ritual. To remove it." "Yes. But first, we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." Wednesday resumed climbing. "And to do that, I need to connect with you more deeply." They reached the third floor, where Wednesday led him down a long corridor lined with doors. She chose one seemingly at random and pushed it open. The bedroom beyond was large and dusty, dominated by a four-poster bed with black velvet curtains. Gothic arched windows looked out over the moors, where mist swirled hypnotically. A fireplace took up most of one wall, the mantelpiece carved with scenes of what appeared to be a witch burning. "Charming," Harry commented, surprising Wednesday with his dry humor. "It's Adam's tradition to decorate with historical family triumphs," she explained, gesturing to the mantelpiece. "Great-great-grandmother Evanora survived 12 witch burnings. She found them invigorating." Harry approached one of the windows, looking out at the wild landscape. "Why did you come for me, Wednesday?" "Really? You're connected to me," she answered simply. "That makes you family, in a way. But why help me? The Dursleys never did. The Dursleys are ordinary people afraid of what they don't understand." Wednesday joined him at the window. "We Adamses embrace the strange, the dark, the powerful. You're all three." Harry turned to face her, his green eyes intense. "What happens now?" "Now," Wednesday said, "we learn more about what's in your scar before the ministry finds us." As if on cue, a commotion erupted from downstairs, shouting, a crash, then Father's voice raised in what sounded like delighted greeting. "Too late," Wednesday sighed. "They're here." They rushed back downstairs to find the entrance hall occupied by three stern-looking individuals in long robes. Father appeared to be enthusiastically shaking hands with the most imposing of them, a tall black man with a gold earring and an expression of carefully controlled patience. "Ah, children. Perfect timing." Father called when he spotted them. "Harry, Wednesday, come meet our guests from the British Ministry of Magic. This is Auror Kingsley Shacklebolt and his colleagues." The man named Shacklebolt turned his penetrating gaze on Harry, his expression softening slightly. "Mr. Potter. You've caused quite a commotion today." "I didn't mean to," Harry replied automatically, then straightened his shoulders. "Actually, I did. I wanted to leave the Dursleys." "That's not a decision for an 8-year-old to make," one of the other ministry officials, a pinch-faced woman with a clipboard, interjected. "There are proper channels, proper procedures. Which have failed him for 7 years, Wednesday pointed out coldly. You must be Miss Adams, Shacklebolt said, turning his attention to Wednesday. The one with the unusual connection to Mr. Potter. Psychic connection, Mother supplied helpfully as she glided into the room. So rare in one so young. Truly fascinating. And potentially dangerous, Shacklebolt countered. Which is why we need to take Harry back to a secure location while this situation is assessed. Absolutely not, Wednesday stated flatly, stepping in front of Harry. He stays with us. I'm afraid that's not your decision, young lady, the pinch-faced woman said condescendingly. Actually, Father interjected smoothly, producing the same roll of parchment he'd shown the Dursleys, we do have certain rights in this matter. Emergency magical guardianship, granted by the American Congress of Magic. Shacklebolt took the parchment, examining it with a frown. This holds no jurisdiction in Britain, Mr. Adams. Perhaps not officially, Father conceded. But it does indicate our serious intentions and good faith. Surely that counts for something in international magical cooperation. The third ministry official, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. He was older, with graying hair and tired eyes. The boy is not just any wizard child, Mr. Adams. His safety is a matter of national, indeed, international, security. Because of what happened when he was a baby? Harry asked suddenly. Because of Voldemort? All three ministry officials flinched at the name. You know about that? Shacklebolt asked carefully. The Adamses told me. My aunt and uncle said my parents died in a car crash. The older official sighed heavily. Typical of Petunia Dursley. Always determined to stamp out anything magical. You know my aunt? Harry asked, surprised. I knew your mother, the man replied. And your aunt, by extension. Albus Dumbledore placed you with them for your protection, Harry. There are blood wards there that keep you safe. Safe from who? Wednesday demanded. Because they certainly didn't keep him safe from the Dursleys themselves. The ministry officials exchanged uncomfortable glances. The situation is complicated, Shacklebolt finally said. But our immediate concern is returning Harry to his legal guardians. I won't go back, Harry said firmly, a new confidence in his voice. They lock me in a cupboard. They starve me. They hate me. And we love him, Grandmama declared, appearing suddenly on the staircase. Or we will, once we get to know him properly. Potential like his only comes along once in a century. See, that's exactly the kind of statement that concerns us, the pinch-faced woman said sharply. What potential are you referring to, exactly? Before Grandmama could answer, Mother stepped forward gracefully. Perhaps we could discuss this like civilized people. Over tea, perhaps. Our kitchen is somewhat antiquated, but I believe we can manage refreshments. Shacklebolt hesitated, then nodded. Very well. A short discussion. But understand that we have the authority to remove Mr. Potter by force if necessary. You could try, Wednesday muttered, earning a warning look from her mother. The group moved to what had once been a formal drawing room. Mother and Grandmama vanished to prepare tea, while Father engaged the ministry officials in what appeared to be casual conversation but was clearly a delaying tactic. Wednesday pulled Harry to one side. We need a plan, she projected into his mind. They won't let you stay with us willingly. What can we do? Harry's mental voice was tinged with desperation. They have wands and authority. We have something stronger. Our connection. I think I can use it to show them what's in your scar. How? I'm not sure yet. But if they realize you're carrying a fragment of Voldemort, they might reconsider separating us. Harry's hand went to his scar again, a gesture Wednesday had noticed was becoming habitual. You really think that's what it is? A piece of him? I've spoken to it, remember? It's not you. It's someone older, crueler. Someone who calls himself the remains of greatness shattered. Their silent conversation was interrupted by Mother's return with a tea tray that steamed ominously. The cups were chipped and stained with what looked suspiciously like blood. Sugar. Mother offered Shacklebolt, holding up a bowl of black crystals. No, thank you, he declined politely, eyeing the tea with well-concealed suspicion. As the adults resumed their discussion, the debate growing increasingly heated, Wednesday felt a familiar pulling sensation at the back of her mind. The fragment in Harry's scar was awake again, stirred by the tension and magical energy in the room. Without thinking, she reached out and pressed her palm against Harry's forehead, covering the lightning bolt. The room vanished. Wednesday found herself in that now familiar mental space, not quite Harry's mind, not quite the fragments, but somewhere in between. A liminal space that belonged to both and neither. But this time, she wasn't alone. Shacklebolt was there too, looking disoriented and alarmed. What magic is this? He demanded, reaching instinctively for a wand that wasn't present in this mental realm. I brought you here, Wednesday explained. To see the truth. Where is here, exactly? Harry Potter's mind. Or rather, a corner of it that doesn't belong to him. As if summoned by her words, the dark presence materialized before them, not a full apparition, but a swirling shadow with hints of a face. Red eyes gleamed within the darkness. Who dares intrude? The high, cold voice echoed around them. Shacklebolt's expression changed from confusion to horror as recognition dawned. Impossible, he whispered. Nothing is impossible for Lord Voldemort, the presence hissed. Even divided, I endure. Now do you understand? Wednesday asked Shacklebolt. Harry Potter carries a fragment of Voldemort within him. That's why we can't give him back to the Dursleys. That's why he needs our help. This is beyond anything. Shacklebolt shook his head, stunned. Dumbledore must be informed immediately. Dumbledore. The name seemed to agitate the presence. The meddling old fool thinks himself so wise, yet knows nothing of true power. We need to leave this place, Shacklebolt said urgently. Now. I agree, Wednesday nodded. It's not safe to linger. With an effort of will, she broke the connection. Reality slammed back into focus, the dusty drawing room, the cold tea, the concerned faces of the adults. Shacklebolt staggered, catching himself against a chair. His colleagues rushed to his side, but he waved them away, his eyes fixed on Harry's scar. What just happened? The pinch-faced woman demanded. She showed me, Shacklebolt said quietly. She showed me what's inside Potter's scar. And, the older official pressed. And we need to contact Dumbledore. Immediately. Shacklebolt turned to Father. Mr. Adams, I believe we need to reconsider our position. The situation is far more complicated than we initially assumed. Complexity is the spice of life, Father replied cheerfully. Or is that danger? Either way, we Adamses have plenty of both to offer young Harry. What did you see? The pinch-faced woman insisted, but Shacklebolt silenced her with a look. Not here, he said quietly. We need secure communications. While the ministry officials conferred in hushed tones, Wednesday checked on Harry. He had slumped into a chair, looking pale and drained. Are you all right? She asked, genuinely concerned. My head hurts, he mumbled. What did you do? I showed Shacklebolt the fragment. I thought it might convince them to let you stay with us. Did it work? I think so. They seem scared. Harry managed a weak smile. Good. I want to stay with you, Wednesday. I feel safer with your family. Even though you're all completely terrifying. Especially because we're terrifying, Wednesday corrected. The best protection is fear. Shacklebolt approached them again, his expression grave but determined. Mr. Potter, Miss Adams, the situation has become more complicated. I've dispatched my colleague to request guidance from Albus Dumbledore, headmaster of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. The school my parents attended? Harry asked. The very same. Professor Dumbledore is also the wizard who placed you with the Dursleys after your parents' murder. He needs to be informed of recent developments. And in the meantime? Father inquired. In the meantime, Shacklebolt said carefully, Mr. Potter will remain here under ministry observation. I will stay personally to ensure everyone's safety. Delightful. Mother exclaimed. We so rarely have guests. I'll prepare a room for you, Auror Shacklebolt. Do you prefer bats or spiders in your midnight snack? Shacklebolt blinked. Neither, thank you. Your loss, Grandmama cackled. As the adults made arrangements, Wednesday led Harry back upstairs. He was still unsteady on his feet, and she could feel echoes of his headache through their connection. You need rest, she told him once they reached his room. Connecting to the fragment drains your energy. Is it always going to be like this? Harry asked, sitting heavily on the edge of the bed. Having this thing inside me? Not if I have anything to say about it, Wednesday replied firmly. My family and I will find a way to remove it. Without killing me? Preferably. Harry laughed weakly at her deadpan delivery. You're not like anyone I've ever met, Wednesday Addams. Of course not. I'm an Addams. He lay back on the dusty coverlet, his eyes drifting closed. Wednesday watched him for a moment, noting how the tension gradually left his face as he fell asleep. Through their connection, she could feel his exhaustion, the dull throb of pain in his scar, and beneath it all, a cautious happiness. He trusted her. The realization was strange and somewhat uncomfortable. No one had ever trusted her before, except family. And even they knew better than to turn their backs when she was experimenting with her crossbow. Wednesday quietly left the room, closing the door behind her. She found Shacklebolt in the corridor, examining a portrait of great-great-grandfather Alphonse Addams, who had reportedly turned himself inside out during a particularly ambitious spell. He's resting, she informed the Auror. Shacklebolt nodded. Good. He needs it. He hesitated, then asked, how long have you been able to do that? Enter his mind that way? A few weeks. It started as dreams, then became more focused. And the entity within his scar. You've communicated with it before? Briefly. It seems dormant most of the time, but strong emotions wake it. Shacklebolt rubbed his chin thoughtfully. In all my years as an Auror, I've never encountered anything like this. A living Horcrux. So it is a Horcrux. Wednesday pounced on the term. We suspected as much. I've said too much already, Shacklebolt backpedaled. These are matters for Dumbledore to address. Harry's my friend, Wednesday said flatly. Anything that concerns him concerns me. You're very protective of someone you've only just met in person. Our minds have been connected for weeks. I know him better than anyone. Shacklebolt studied her with those penetrating eyes. You're an unusual child, Miss Addams. You have no idea. Their conversation was interrupted by a loud crash from downstairs, followed by Uncle Fester's maniacal laughter. Shacklebolt tensed, hand moving to his wand. Relax, Wednesday advised. That's just Uncle Fester discovering something flammable. It's normal. Somehow, I doubt anything is normal in the Addams family, Shacklebolt muttered, but he followed her downstairs to investigate. They found Uncle Fester in what had once been a library, surrounded by the smoldering remains of several ancient books. He grinned at them, his bald head blackened with soot. These old grimoires really pack a punch, he cackled. Tried to read one aloud, and it exploded. Want to try, Wednesday? Perhaps later, Uncle Fester. Harry's resting. The boy's missing all the fun. Fester complained. Shacklebolt surveyed the damage with alarm. Those books, they could be dangerous dark artifacts. I should confiscate them. Nonsense, Father declared, entering the room with a glass of something that bubbled ominously. They're family heirlooms. Passed down through generations of Adamses. Completely harmless unless read aloud, opened during a full moon, or touched by someone with pure intentions. That last one's rarely a problem for our family, Mother added, gliding into the room in a fresh black dress that trailed cobwebs. Shacklebolt looked like he wanted to argue but thought better of it. I'll just make a note for my report. The standoff continued through the evening. Shacklebolt maintained a watchful presence while the Adams family went about settling into the ancestral manor, which grew more atmospheric by the hour. Torches lit themselves in sconces, shadows deepened in corners, and the occasional bat found its way down chimneys. Wednesday checked on Harry regularly, both physically and through their connection. He slept deeply, his mind quiet for once. The fragment, too, seemed dormant after its earlier activity. As night fell, a storm gathered over the moors, lightning illuminating the twisted landscape in brief, brilliant flashes. Wednesday sat by Harry's window, watching the display and plotting their next moves. The fragment had to be removed. That much was clear. But how? Grandmama's ritual sounded dangerous, potentially fatal. The ministry wizard seemed equally at a loss. And this Dumbledore person, he had left Harry with the Dursleys, knowing, or not knowing, about the fragment. Could he be trusted? A particularly loud thunderclap shook the window panes, and Harry stirred on the bed. Wednesday, he murmured, sitting up groggily. How long was I asleep? Hours. It's nearly midnight. I had strange dreams. About a green light and a high laugh. Not dreams. Memories. His memories. Harry shivered. What's going to happen to me? We wait for this Dumbledore to arrive. Then we negotiate. What if he insists I go back to the Dursleys? Wednesday's expression darkened. He won't. Not if he values his continued existence in this dimension. Harry managed a smile at that. You know, most people would be terrified by the way you talk. But I find it oddly comforting. Most people are idiots. True. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the storm rage outside. Wednesday could feel their connection strengthening, stabilizing. Being physically near each other seemed to enhance the psychic link rather than render it unnecessary. Can you teach me? Harry asked suddenly. Magic, I mean. The Adams way. It's different from wand magic, Wednesday cautioned. Darker. More instinctual. Based on blood and intent rather than words and movements. I want to learn. I need to defend myself. Wednesday nodded, understanding completely. We'll start tomorrow. Simple things first, sensing energy, focusing intent. Will it help against, you know? Harry gestured to his scar. Maybe. Our kind of magic is older than his. It might give us an advantage. A knock at the door interrupted them. Mother poked her head in, her pale face luminous in the dim light. Children, you have a visitor. A most fascinating old wizard with the longest beard I've ever seen. He's asking for Harry specifically. Dumbledore, Harry whispered, tension returning to his body. Remember, Wednesday told him as they stood to follow Mother, you don't have to go anywhere you don't want to. We'll protect you. We'll protect each other, Harry corrected, surprising Wednesday with his determination. They descended to the drawing room, where an elderly wizard in magnificent purple robes stood warming his hands by a freshly lit fire. His silver beard reached his waist, and half-moon spectacles perched on a crooked nose. His eyes twinkled as he turned to greet them. Ah, Harry, my boy, he said warmly. How wonderful to see you looking so well. And this must be the young Miss Adams I've heard so much about. Wednesday assessed the old wizard coolly. Power radiated from him, ancient and controlled, but different from the wild energy of the Adams family magic. Professor Dumbledore, she acknowledged with a slight nod. You're the one who left Harry with those people. The direct accusation seemed to catch Dumbledore off guard, but he recovered quickly. I did what I believed necessary for Harry's protection, Miss Adams. The blood wards at his aunt's home have kept him safe from those who would do him harm. While doing him plenty of harm themselves, Wednesday countered. Dumbledore's expression turned grave. I am deeply concerned to hear about Harry's treatment at the Dursleys. Auror Shacklebolt has briefed me on the situation. All of it? Wednesday pressed, glancing meaningfully at Harry's scar. Indeed. Which is why I'm here personally. Dumbledore turned to Harry. May I examine your scar, Harry? I promise it won't hurt. Harry hesitated, looking to Wednesday. She gave him a small nod. All right, Harry agreed reluctantly. Dumbledore approached slowly, drawing his wand, a gnarled, ancient-looking thing. This is just a diagnostic spell, he explained. I won't touch you. He waved the wand in a complex pattern over Harry's forehead, murmuring words too low to hear. The tip of the wand glowed golden, then deep red, then black. Dumbledore's face paled. I see. You didn't know, Wednesday realized. All these years, you didn't know what was inside him. I had suspicions, Dumbledore admitted. But not confirmation. Not this. What is it? Harry asked, his voice small. What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you, Harry, Dumbledore said gently. But when Voldemort tried to kill you, something unexpected happened. A piece of him attached itself to you. A Horcrux, Wednesday stated flatly. Dumbledore's eyes widened slightly. You're familiar with the term. I read, Wednesday shrugged. And I felt it. Spoke to it. Most remarkable, Dumbledore murmured. A natural legilimens at such a young age. Can you remove it? Harry asked desperately. Get it out of me. A shadow crossed Dumbledore's face. It's not that simple, I'm afraid. The fragment has been part of you for 7 years. It's deeply entwined with your own magical signature. We have a ritual, Grandmama announced, shuffling into the room with her ancient tome. Old magic. Dark magic. Might work, might kill him. 50-50. I appreciate the offer, Madam Adams, Dumbledore said diplomatically, but perhaps we should explore all options before attempting something so final. What other options are there? Wednesday demanded. Research. Consultation with experts. Time. Dumbledore sighed. But first, we must discuss Harry's immediate future. The blood wards at Privet Drive are now completely collapsed. He needs protection. He has it, Wednesday said firmly. With us. While I admire your loyalty, Miss Adams, the Adams family is not officially recognized by the British Ministry as suitable guardians for magical children. Because we practice the old ways? Father challenged, entering the conversation. Because we don't bow to ministry regulations? Partly, Dumbledore admitted. But also because Harry Potter is not just any wizard child. He is, for better or worse, a symbol to our world. His whereabouts and welfare are matters of public interest. So because he's famous, he doesn't get to choose who he lives with. Wednesday's voice dripped with contempt. He's also 8 years old, Shacklebolt pointed out from his position by the door. I want to stay with the Adamses, Harry spoke up, his voice stronger than before. They're the first people who've ever helped me. Who've told me the truth. Dumbledore studied Harry for a long moment, something like sadness passing across his features. I see I have made grave errors in your care, Harry. For that, I am truly sorry. Sorry doesn't fix it, Wednesday said coldly. No, it doesn't, Dumbledore agreed. But perhaps this might be a start, a compromise. We're listening, Father said, twirling his mustache thoughtfully. Harry remains with the Adams family, under certain conditions, Dumbledore proposed. First, they establish residence in Britain, where the Ministry can maintain appropriate protections. Second, Harry receives proper magical education in preparation for attending Hogwarts at 11. Third, regular check-ins with Ministry officials to ensure his well-being and monitor the situation with the scar. Wednesday exchanged looks with her parents. It wasn't ideal, the Ministry involvement would be annoying, but it would keep Harry with them. And the fragment, she pressed. What do we do about that? I will personally research methods for its safe removal, Dumbledore promised. Though I must caution you, this may take time. Perhaps years. Years? Harry looked crestfallen. It's waited this long, Wednesday told him. A little longer won't matter. Dumbledore's eyes twinkled as he observed their interaction. I must say, the connection between you two is most remarkable. In all my years, I've never seen anything quite like it. We're special, Wednesday stated matter-of-factly. Indeed you are. Dumbledore turned to Shacklebolt. Kingsley, would you be so kind as to draw up the necessary paperwork for temporary magical guardianship? I believe the Addams family and young Harry deserve a chance to see if this arrangement might work. Shacklebolt nodded, though he still looked somewhat dubious. As you wish, Albus. I'll contact the Department of Magical Children's Welfare immediately. As the adults hammered out the details, Wednesday and Harry slipped away to a window seat overlooking the moors. The storm had passed, leaving a clear night sky scattered with stars. Do you think they'll really let me stay with your family? Harry asked. They don't have much choice, Wednesday replied. Our connection gives us leverage. Besides, I think Dumbledore feels guilty for leaving you with the Dursleys. Good. He should. Harry's voice held an edge Wednesday hadn't heard before. They were horrible to me for years, and he never checked. Not once. Adults are generally useless, Wednesday agreed. That's why we need to learn to protect ourselves. Each other. You'll still teach me. Your family's magic. Of course. Starting tomorrow. Harry smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. I never thought I'd say this about moving in with a family of people who worship darkness and keep shrunken heads as pets, but I think I'm going to be happy here. Happiness is overrated, Wednesday said automatically, but she didn't entirely mean it. Something about Harry's smile made her feel, not unhappy. It was a strange sensation. Not entirely unpleasant. As midnight approached, the manor settled around them, creaking and groaning like a living thing. The Addams family, Harry, Dumbledore, and Shacklebolt gathered in the grand dining room, where Grandmama had prepared a feast of dubious origin but undeniable pungency. To new beginnings, Father toasted, raising a glass of something that smoked ominously. And to the newest addition to the Addams household, Harry Potter. To Harry, the family echoed. Even Dumbledore raised his glass, his eyes twinkling as he observed the strange gathering. To unexpected friendships and the power they hold, he added softly. Wednesday didn't join the toast. She was too busy watching Harry's face, alight with wonder and belonging for perhaps the first time in his life. Through their connection, she felt his joy, his relief, his gratitude. And beneath it all, she felt the fragment in his scar, quiescent for now but ever present. A reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. But for tonight, at least, Harry Potter was safe. He was with them. And Wednesday Addams, who had never wanted a friend in her life, found herself inexplicably pleased by this development. The storm had passed, but their journey was just beginning. Chapter 3, The Awakening. 3 months after Harry moved into Addams Manor, Wednesday found him sitting cross-legged on the floor of the East Tower, eyes closed, surrounded by black candles. A crow perched on his shoulder, occasionally pecking affectionately at his increasingly shaggy hair. You've improved, she noted, leaning against the doorframe. Harry's eyes snapped open, bright green and much more confident than when she'd first met him. I felt you coming up the stairs. Your energy signature's pretty distinctive. Dark with hints of doom? Wednesday asked. More like thunderstorms with a chance of vengeance. Harry grinned, standing up in one fluid motion. The crow flapped to a nearby skull-shaped perch. Wednesday nodded approvingly. Harry had flourished under the Addams family's care. No longer the skinny, frightened boy from Privet Drive, he had gained weight, confidence, and a healthy appreciation for the macabre. His natural magical abilities had strengthened too, guided by daily lessons from various family members. "Grandmama wants us in the ritual chamber," Wednesday said. "She thinks she's found something about your scar." Harry's hand automatically went to his forehead, a habit he hadn't broken. "Good something or bad something?" "With Grandmama, there's rarely a difference." They descended the winding staircase together, their footsteps echoing on ancient stone. The manor had become progressively more habitable, or uninhabitable, by normal standards, over the past months. Cobwebs flourished in corners, the temperature maintained a pleasant chill, and various creatures had taken up residence in unused rooms. Harry fit right in, adapting to Adam's family life with surprising ease. He still jumped occasionally when things scuttled across his breakfast plate or when Uncle Fester used himself as a human conductor during thunderstorms, but these were becoming less startling incidents and more just daily occurrences. More concerning were the headaches. They had been increasing in frequency and intensity over the past few weeks. Sometimes Harry would freeze mid-sentence, eyes unfocused, hand pressed to his scar. Other times, he'd wake screaming from nightmares he couldn't, or wouldn't, describe. The fragment was getting stronger. They found Grandmama in the basement ritual chamber, a cavernous space with a pentagram permanently etched into the stone floor. She hunched over a massive tome, muttering to herself as she dropped various unidentifiable substances into a bubbling cauldron. "Ah, children," she cackled when she spotted them. "Just in time. Harry, come here. Let me see that delicious scar of yours." Harry approached cautiously. Grandmama's experiments had a 50-50 chance of causing minor explosions. She grabbed his chin with her gnarled hand, tilting his face toward the sputtering candlelight. Yes. More inflamed than yesterday. The fragment's growing restless." "I had another nightmare last night," Harry admitted. "Worse than before." Wednesday frowned. She'd felt his distress through their connection but hadn't been able to reach him. Something had blocked her, something cold and powerful. "What did you see?" she asked. "A long corridor. A door at the end. Something important behind it." Harry shivered. "And he wants it badly." "He?" Grandmama pounced on the pronoun. "Voldemort. Or what's left of him in my head." Harry had stopped flinching when saying the name. The Addams family used it freely, finding the wizarding world's fear of a mere name ridiculous. "The fragment is becoming more active," Grandmama confirmed, releasing Harry's chin. "Gathering strength. Soon it might attempt to possess you completely." "Possess me?" Harry paled. "Like, take over my body?" "For limited periods, at first. Eventually." Grandmama trailed off ominously. "That's not going to happen," Wednesday stated flatly. "We'll get rid of it first." "Which brings me to my discovery." Grandmama gestured dramatically to the ancient book. "The Ritual of Soul Severance. Nasty business, usually fatal to both host and parasite, but with a few Addams modifications." She explained the ritual in gleeful detail, describing blood requirements, lunar alignments, and the sacrifice of something most treasured by the host. "So I just have to give up something important to me?" Harry asked when she finished. "That doesn't sound too bad." "Not give up," Grandmama corrected. "Sacrifice. Destruction. Burning. Complete obliteration. Oh. And there's the small matter of magical backlash," Grandmama added. "When a soul fragment is forcibly removed, it fights back. You need someone to anchor you to this realm while your soul and the fragment are momentarily separated. Both Grandmama and Harry turned to look at Wednesday. Me, she said. Not a question. Your connection gives you unique access to Harry's mind, Grandmama explained. You could guide his soul back while we destroy the fragment. And if I fail? Grandmama cackled. Then we'll have 2 ghosts haunting the East Wing instead of 1. Won't that be delightful? Harry looked less than delighted at the prospect. When would we perform this ritual? Wednesday asked. The next full moon. 3 days from now. We need to prepare the components. Grandmama began listing ingredients on her gnarled fingers. Graveyard dirt collected at midnight. Venom from a 2-headed snake. Blood freely given from a magical creature. Oh, and ministry approval, I suppose, she added with obvious disappointment. Part of the arrangement with Dumbledore included oversight of any major magical workings involving Harry. A ministry representative, usually the Grim Auror Shacklebolt, visited weekly to check on Harry's welfare and magical education. They won't approve this, Harry said. It's too dangerous. Then we don't tell them, Wednesday suggested. Wednesday, dear, your father and I raised you better than that, Mother's smooth voice came from the stairway as she glided into the ritual chamber. We never lie about our intentions to mutilate, sacrifice, or potentially kill. It's unseemly. We'll simply present it as the only viable option, Wednesday amended. Which it very well might be, Mother agreed, examining the ritual text over Grandmama's shoulder. These symptoms are concerning. The fragment is growing stronger much faster than Dumbledore predicted. As if to emphasize her point, Harry suddenly gasped, hands flying to his scar. He dropped to his knees, face contorted in pain. Harry. Wednesday knelt beside him, grabbing his shoulders. His eyes rolled back, showing only whites. His body went rigid, then began to shake violently. Hold him down. Grandmama instructed, rushing to her potion shelf. He's having a vision. Wednesday pinned Harry's shoulders while Mother gracefully restrained his legs. His body bucked and twisted with unnatural strength. I'm going in, Wednesday announced, pressing her forehead against Harry's. She closed her eyes and focused on their connection, pushing through the pain radiating from his scar. The familiar pulling sensation seized her, stronger than ever before. Darkness swirled, punctuated by flashes of red light. She was in Harry's mind, but it looked different, fractured, unstable. Harry, she called into the mental void. Where are you? No answer came, but she felt a presence, not Harry's familiar consciousness, but something colder, alien. The fragment was active, expanding its influence through Harry's mind. Wednesday pushed deeper, following the cold trail. She found herself in a long, stone corridor lit by torches, the same one from Harry's nightmares. At the end stood a black door, slightly ajar. Approaching cautiously, Wednesday peered through the gap. Beyond lay a vast circular room filled with shelves. On the shelves sat countless small glass orbs, glowing with faint blue light. A figure stood among the shelves, tall, thin, draped in black robes. Not quite solid, more like a dense shadow given form. It reached for one of the orbs with long, pale fingers. Stop, Wednesday commanded. The figure turned slowly. Where a face should have been, there was only darkness with 2 gleaming red eyes. Child, it hissed. The darkness touched girl. You don't belong here. Neither do you, Wednesday countered. This is Harry's mind. Not yours. I've dwelled here longer than you've been alive, little witch. This place is as much mine as his. The figure drifted closer. Wednesday stood her ground, though the cold emanating from it chilled her to her core. Such potential in you, it whispered. Such natural affinity for the darker arts. You could be great, with proper guidance. I'm already great, Wednesday replied flatly. And you're stalling. Where's Harry? The figure gestured vaguely behind it. The boy fights still. Impressive, for one so young. But futile. I grow stronger each day, while he remains a child. A child who defeated you once already. The red eyes flashed dangerously. Luck. Nothing more. This time will be different. Wednesday felt a pulse through their connection, Harry, reaching out to her. She needed to find him. What do you want? She asked the fragment, buying time. Why these visions? Why now? Knowledge. Power. Resurrection. The figure drifted among the shelves. Secrets hidden in plain sight, waiting to be claimed. Prophecies, Wednesday realized, recognizing the description of the orbs from her reading. You're looking for the prophecy about you and Harry. The figure went still. You know of it? I know Dumbledore mentioned something about a prophecy when he visited last month. I know it's what drove you to try killing Harry as a baby. The old fool knows the full content. He keeps it from the boy. From everyone. The figure's form rippled with anger. I must know what it says. All of it. And you think possessing Harry will help you get it? Wednesday edged around the figure, searching for signs of Harry's consciousness. The Ministry will give Harry Potter access. They trust the boy who lived. Wednesday spotted something behind a distant shelf, a flicker of familiar energy. Harry. You're forgetting something, she said, keeping the fragment's attention on her. Harry isn't alone anymore. He has me. He has the Addams family. Irrelevant. No family, no friendship can stop what's coming. We'll see about that. Wednesday made a break for the shelf where she'd sensed Harry, darting past the shadowy figure. It snarled, reaching for her with insubstantial hands that nonetheless radiated deadly cold. She ducked beneath its grasp and rounded the shelf. Harry sat huddled on the floor, eyes closed, hands pressed over his ears. A faint golden light surrounded him, his own magic, Wednesday realized, instinctively protecting him from complete possession. Harry, she called, kneeling beside him. Harry, listen to me. You need to wake up. His eyes fluttered open, unfocused at first, then clearing as they found her. Wednesday. How did you, no time. The fragment's trying to take control. You need to push it back. I can't, he whispered. It's too strong. Focus on our connection, Wednesday urged, grabbing his hands. Use it as an anchor. Behind them, the shadowy figure loomed, radiating fury. You cannot escape me. I am part of you, boy. I always will be. You're nothing, Wednesday told it coldly. A parasite. A fragment. Not even a complete soul. I am Lord Voldemort. The figure's roar shook the mental landscape, causing shelves to tilt dangerously. You're a memory, Harry said suddenly, strength returning to his voice. A leftover. The real Voldemort is out there somewhere, and he doesn't care about you any more than he cares about me. The figure seemed to falter at that. Lies. I am essential. The key to his return. You're expendable, Wednesday pressed the advantage. Just one of multiple fragments, according to Dumbledore's research. The information was a calculated risk. Dumbledore had indeed discovered evidence suggesting multiple Horcruxes but had cautioned them against spreading this knowledge. Right now, though, they needed every advantage. The figure's form wavered, uncertainty rippling through it. If that were true. Then you're not as important as you think, Harry finished, standing up with Wednesday's help. And I don't have to be afraid of you. Together, they faced the fragment, their combined will pushing against its influence. The mental landscape shuddered and began to dissolve. This isn't over, the fragment hissed as it retreated. I will return. Stronger. And next time, your little friend won't be able to save you. With a final surge of effort, Wednesday pulled herself and Harry out of the vision. They crashed back into physical reality, gasping and disoriented. The ritual chamber came into focus around them. Mother and Grandmama hovered nearby, while Father and Uncle Fester had apparently joined them, looking uncharacteristically concerned. 3 minutes and 27 seconds. Uncle Fester announced cheerfully. A new record for psychic battle. What happened? Father demanded, twirling his mustache anxiously. Wednesday. Harry. Possession attempt, Wednesday reported, helping Harry sit up. The fragment almost took control. It was looking for something, Harry added, his voice hoarse. A prophecy. In the Ministry of Magic. Mother and Father exchanged significant looks. This is accelerating faster than anticipated, Mother said. We need to inform Dumbledore immediately. And move up our ritual timeline, Grandmama added. Full moon or not, that fragment needs extracting before it extracts the boy's mind instead. Harry leaned heavily against Wednesday, exhaustion written across his face. It was different this time, he murmured for her ears only. Stronger, more focused. Like it's been planning this. Don't worry, she assured him. We won't let it take control. Promise? I promise. Wednesday helped him to his feet. And Adams never breaks a promise, remember? By evening, the manor buzzed with activity. Father sent urgent messages to Dumbledore and the Ministry via their secure magical connection. Mother and Grandmama gathered ritual components from the family storerooms. Uncle Fester and Pugsley were dispatched to collect fresh graveyard dirt, a task they undertook with inappropriate enthusiasm. Wednesday stayed with Harry in his room, keeping watch as he drifted in and out of restless sleep. She could feel the fragment lurking at the edges of his consciousness, waiting for another opportunity to strike. A knock at the door announced Lurch, bearing a tray of what appeared to be steaming black liquid in skull-shaped cups. Grandmama's special tea, Wednesday identified the brew by its distinctive odor of nightshade and grave moss. It'll help keep the fragment dormant temporarily. Harry sat up, accepting the cup with a nod of thanks to Lurch, who groaned sympathetically before shuffling away. Tastes like dirt and despair, Harry commented after a cautious sip. That's how you know it's working. They sat in companionable silence for a while, the only sound the occasional scuttle of thing delivering messages around the manor and the distant explosion from whatever Pugsley was testing in the West Tower. If this ritual works, Harry said eventually, and the fragment's gone, will we still have our connection? Wednesday hadn't considered this. I don't know. I'd miss it, he admitted. Being able to talk to you in my head. Feeling like I'm never really alone. The fragment might have triggered our connection initially, but I don't think it sustains it, Wednesday reasoned. Our minds linked independently. There's no logical reason that would change. Since when do Adamses care about logic? Fair point. The door burst open, admitting Pugsley with singed eyebrows and a manic grin. Ministry people are here. Loads of them. And they look really uptight. Wednesday and Harry exchanged glances before hurrying downstairs. In the grand entrance hall, they found an assemblage of stern-faced wizards in official-looking robes, led by Kingsley Shacklebolt. Father was greeting them with his usual flamboyant hospitality, apparently oblivious to their discomfort. Ah, children. Perfect timing, he called when he spotted them. These fine ministry representatives have come about Harry's little possession problem. It wasn't a full possession, Harry clarified quickly. Just an attempt. Shacklebolt stepped forward, his expression grave. Mr. Potter, we need to discuss what happened. This development is concerning. That's putting it mildly, sniffed a witch with a monocle. A fragment of you-know-who attempting active possession. The minister is beside himself. Not to mention Dumbledore, who sends his apologies but is handling an urgent situation at Hogwarts, added a younger wizard carrying a stack of parchments. He'll join us as soon as possible. Mother glided down the grand staircase, elegant as ever in a black dress that seemed to absorb all light around it. Perhaps we should continue this discussion in the drawing room? I've had Lurch prepare refreshments. The ministry contingent followed somewhat reluctantly, eyeing the mansion's decor with poorly concealed alarm. The drawing room had been recently improved, with additional taxidermy, cursed artifacts artfully displayed on shelves, and a chandelier made entirely of bones that occasionally rearranged themselves with soft clicking sounds. Once everyone was seated, the ministry wizards perched uncomfortably on chairs that groaned ominously. Shacklebolt got straight to business. "Mr. Potter, I need you to describe exactly what you experienced during the possession attempt." Harry recounted the vision in detail, with Wednesday occasionally filling in parts he'd missed. When he mentioned the prophecy, the witch with the monocle gasped audibly. "So you know who, or rather, his fragment, is seeking the prophecy record," she said. "This confirms our worst fears." "What fears?" Wednesday demanded. "What's in this prophecy that's so important?" The ministry officials exchanged uneasy glances. "That information is classified," Shacklebolt said firmly. "All you need to know is that the Department of Mysteries contains sensitive material that must be protected. If it concerns Harry, he has a right to know," Wednesday argued. "Miss Adams, this is a matter of national magical security." "No, she's right," interrupted a new voice from the doorway. Dumbledore had arrived, looking tired but resolute. "Harry does have a right to know. I've maintained otherwise for too long, and recent events suggest that was a mistake." The ministry which spluttered indignantly. "Albus! You can't seriously be considering telling a child, not just any child, Amelia," Dumbledore replied mildly. "The child the prophecy concerns most directly." He turned to Harry, who straightened in his chair. "Harry, there is indeed a prophecy about you and Lord Voldemort, made shortly before your birth. It is the reason he sought to kill you as an infant, though he only ever heard part of it." "What does it say?" Harry asked. Dumbledore sighed heavily. "In essence, it states that a child born at the end of July to parents who had defied Voldemort 3 times would have the power to vanquish him. It specified that Voldemort would mark this child as his equal," he gestured to Harry's scar, "and that either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives." A heavy silence fell over the room. Even the Addams family, normally unfazed by talk of death and doom, seemed sobered by the implications. "So I have to kill him?" Harry asked finally. "Or he has to kill me?" "Prophecies are notoriously subject to interpretation," Dumbledore cautioned. "But yes, that appears to be the general thrust of it." Wednesday felt Harry's turmoil through their connection, shock, fear, anger, and beneath it all, a strange relief at finally knowing why Voldemort had targeted him. "That's why the fragment's getting more active," she realized aloud. "Voldemort needs to know the full prophecy to understand how Harry might defeat him." "Precisely," Dumbledore nodded. "Which makes our current situation all the more urgent. If the fragment gains enough control to access Harry's body and magic, it might be able to communicate with the main soul piece, wherever it currently resides." "We have a solution," Grandmama announced, hobbling into the room with her massive tome. "The ritual of soul severance. With modifications, naturally." Dumbledore examined the ritual with interest while the ministry officials looked increasingly alarmed. Terms like blood sacrifice, soul tether, and controlled necromantic energy peppered Grandmama's enthusiastic explanation. "Absolutely not," declared the witch with the monocle. "This is clearly dark magic of the most forbidden kind." "Now, Amelia," Dumbledore said placatingly, "while the ritual does contain certain elements that might be considered unorthodox by ministry standards, we must consider the alternatives. Harry is in imminent danger of possession. Then remove him to St. Mungo's. Put him under magical quarantine. There are protocols for possession cases. None involving Horcruxes," Dumbledore pointed out gently. "This is unprecedented territory. Besides," Wednesday added, "standard magical restraints won't work. The fragment operates through our connection. Only I can reach Harry when it's controlling him. The ministry officials argued amongst themselves, occasionally consulting thick rulebooks pulled from enchanted briefcases. Harry watched them with growing frustration. "Don't I get a say in this?" he finally demanded, voice rising above the debate. "It's my mind being invaded. My life at stake." The room fell silent, all eyes turning to him. "I want to try the ritual," Harry stated firmly. "I'm tired of having him in my head. I'm tired of the nightmares and the pain and the fear that I might hurt someone if he takes control." "Mr. Potter," Shacklebolt said carefully, "the risks are substantial. This ritual could kill you." "So could doing nothing," Harry countered. "And I trust the Adamses." Wednesday felt an unfamiliar warmth at his words. Trust wasn't something Adamses typically inspired in others. After much more debate, compromise was reached. The ritual would proceed, but with modifications suggested by Dumbledore and under ministry observation. It would take place the following night, when the moon was nearly full, not ideal from a magical perspective, but the urgency of the situation outweighed perfect celestial alignment. As the officials filed out, making preparations to return the next evening, Harry pulled Wednesday aside. "I need to ask you something," he said seriously. "For the ritual. Grandmama mentioned I need to sacrifice something I treasure." "Yes. The most precious thing you own." Harry looked embarrassed. "That's the problem. I don't really own anything precious. The Dursleys never gave me anything worth keeping, and everything I have now came from your family." Wednesday considered this. "It doesn't have to be a physical object. It could be a memory. An ability. What about our connection?" Harry suggested quietly. "That's the most precious thing I have." A strange feeling squeezed Wednesday's chest. "No. Not that. But if it's the only way, we'll find something else," she interrupted firmly. "The sacrifice needs to be significant, but it doesn't have to be that." Harry looked relieved. "Okay. But what then?" Wednesday thought for a moment. "What about your ability to speak Parseltongue?" "My what?" "Snake language. You've been doing it with Grandmama's two-headed cobra for weeks now. Didn't you realize?" Harry blinked in surprise. "I thought that was just another language you taught me. I didn't know it was special. It's extremely rare. And it might be connected to the fragment, a power transferred when Voldemort's soul attached to you. So if I sacrifice it, it would symbolically sever a connection to Voldemort while maintaining our connection. Plus, it's valuable enough to power the ritual." Harry nodded slowly. "Okay. Let's do that." The next evening arrived with unnatural swiftness. The ritual chamber had been prepared according to Grandmama's exacting specifications. Black candles surrounded the pentagram etched into the floor, their flames burning an eerie blue. Bowls of various unsavory substances sat at each point of the star. In the center, a stone altar had been erected for Harry to lie upon. Ministry officials lined the walls, wands at the ready in case anything went wrong. Dumbledore stood among them, speaking quietly with father and mother about last-minute adjustments to the ritual. Grandmama approached Harry and Wednesday, who waited nervously by the entrance. She handed each of them a goblet filled with dark liquid. "Drink," she instructed. "Potion of mental clarity. You'll need your wits about you, especially you, Wednesday. Soul tethering isn't for the faint-hearted." They drank without hesitation. The potion tasted of ashes and something metallic, blood, probably. Wednesday felt a sudden sharpening of her senses, as though a veil had been lifted from her mind. "Now," Grandmama continued, handing Wednesday a silver dagger with runes etched along the blade, "when the moment comes, you'll need to cut your palm and Harry's, then press them together. The blood bond will strengthen your mental connection, allowing you to find his soul more easily." Wednesday nodded, testing the dagger's edge against her thumb. A thin line of blood welled up immediately. "And Harry," Grandmama turned to him, "when the fragment begins to separate, you must focus on your sacrifice. Think of your Parseltongue ability. Visualize it as a green snake wrapped around your throat. Cut it free in your mind. What will it feel like? Harry asked, visibly nervous despite his determination. Grandmama cackled. Like being turned inside out while on fire. But don't worry, the pain means it's working. Comforting, Harry muttered. It's time, Dumbledore announced, approaching them. He placed a gentle hand on Harry's shoulder. Are you certain about this, Harry? There's no shame in waiting, in seeking other options. I'm sure, Harry said firmly. I want it gone. Dumbledore nodded sadly. Very well. Know that we are all here to support you through this ordeal. Harry was led to the altar and instructed to lie down. Wednesday took her position at the head of the pentagram, directly above Harry's head. Father, Mother, Grandmama, and Dumbledore stood at the other points of the star. The rest of the family and ministry officials formed an outer circle around them. Remember, Grandmama told Wednesday, once the fragment starts to separate, you must follow Harry's soul through the void and guide it back. Don't get distracted by anything you see there. Don't listen to any voices. And whatever you do, don't let go of the connection. Wednesday nodded, gripping the silver dagger tightly. The ritual began with Grandmama's rasping incantation, words in a language so ancient it predated Latin, possibly predated human language entirely. The blue flames of the candles shot higher, illuminating the chamber with ghostly light. Father and Mother joined in, their voices weaving around Grandmama's in complex harmony. Dumbledore added his own incantation, wand moving in precise patterns that left trails of golden light in the air. The pentagram began to glow, lines of power connecting each point and converging on the altar where Harry lay. His body went rigid, eyes wide open but seeing nothing. Now, Wednesday. Grandmama commanded. Wednesday sliced her palm with the silver dagger, then quickly cut Harry's. She pressed their bleeding hands together, feeling the immediate surge of power through their connection. The physical world faded around her as she plunged into their shared mental space. This time, it wasn't a corridor or a room she entered, but a vast, formless void. Streaks of light and darkness swirled around her. In the distance, she could make out two distinct energies, one golden and warm, Harry's soul, and one black and cold, the fragment. They were connected by a thin, pulsating cord of sickly green energy. As she watched, the cord began to fray, the ritual's power working to sever the unnatural bond. The fragment noticed her immediately. You again, it hissed, its form more defined in this space, a small, twisted thing, vaguely humanoid but deformed. Always interfering. Wednesday ignored it, focusing on reaching Harry's soul. She could feel his consciousness, frightened but determined, fighting to break free. Harry, she projected through their connection. Focus on the sacrifice. Picture the Parseltongue ability. She sensed his acknowledgement, felt him concentrating on visualizing a green snake wrapped around his throat. In the mental void, a serpentine form appeared, coiling around the golden light that represented Harry. Cut it away, she urged. Let it go. With tremendous effort, Harry's consciousness pushed the snake away from himself, toward the fraying cord connecting him to the fragment. The snake hissed, struggling against his will, but slowly entwined itself with the cord. The fragment realized what was happening too late. No. It shrieked as the snake and cord began to dissolve together. This power is mine. Mine. It lashed out, sending tendrils of darkness toward Harry's soul. Wednesday intercepted them, using their blood bond to create a shield of shared energy. The darkness sizzled against it, unable to penetrate. The cord grew thinner, the snake fading with it. The fragment's form began to disintegrate at the edges, its power weakening without the connection to Harry. This isn't the end, it threatened as it diminished. He lives still. The true Lord Voldemort. He will rise again, more powerful than ever. And we'll be waiting, Wednesday countered. Harry won't face him alone next time. With a final screech of rage, the cord snapped completely. The fragment imploded, collapsing into itself until nothing remained but a wisp of dark smoke, quickly dispersing in the void. But Harry's soul had been thrown violently backward by the severing, drifting away from the anchor point that would return him to his body. Wednesday felt their connection stretching dangerously thin. "Harry!" she called, pushing through the void toward him. "Take my hand. Come back." His consciousness flickered weakly. "Can't find the way." Wednesday focused all her will on their connection, visualizing it as a silver thread connecting them. "Follow our link. It will lead you home." She felt him struggling, reaching for the thread. For a terrifying moment, she thought he wouldn't make it, that he'd drift forever in the void, a soul without a body. Then his consciousness touched hers, and with a tremendous surge of shared will, they followed the thread back to reality. Wednesday gasped, nearly collapsing as she returned to her physical form. Harry's hand was still clasped in hers, their mingled blood now dry and crusted between their palms. But his body lay still on the altar, eyes open but unseeing. "Harry," she called, shaking him. "Harry!" Dumbledore rushed forward, wand moving in diagnostic patterns over Harry's motionless form. "His body lives, but his soul hasn't fully reintegrated." The shock of the separation was too great. "No," Wednesday refused to accept this. "He's coming back. I can still feel him." She closed her eyes, focusing on their connection again. It was weaker now, stretched thin by the ritual, but still intact. She could sense Harry's consciousness, confused and disoriented, hovering at the threshold between the void and reality. "Harry Potter," she projected with all her strength. "You promised not to leave me alone with these normal people." An Adams never breaks a promise, and neither does a friend of the Adamses. For a long, horrible moment, there was no response. Then, faintly, "Wednesday. I can't see anything. Follow my voice. Follow our connection. It hurts. Pain means you're alive. Keep coming." She felt him struggling closer, his consciousness gradually realigning with his physical form. Around them, the ritual chamber had gone silent, everyone holding their breath as they watched the motionless boy and the pale girl clasping his hand. Harry's fingers suddenly twitched in hers. His chest rose in a deep, shuddering breath. His eyes blinked once, twice, then focused on her face. "Did it work?" he whispered, voice hoarse. Wednesday nodded, not trusting herself to speak. The relief flooding through her was an unfamiliar, uncomfortable emotion. Dumbledore's diagnostic spell now showed a steady blue glow around Harry, no trace of the sickly green that had indicated the fragment's presence. "The Horcrux is gone," he confirmed, wonder evident in his voice. Completely severed from Harry's soul. A cheer went up from the Addams family, while the ministry officials exchanged looks of relief and disbelief. Grandmama cackled triumphantly, already making notes on modifications for future rituals. "How do you feel?" Wednesday asked Harry as she helped him sit up. He considered for a moment. "Lighter. Like something heavy was lifted off me." He touched his scar. "It doesn't hurt anymore." "And our connection?" Harry closed his eyes, concentrating. Still here, his thoughts came to her, fainter than before but unmistakable. "Different, but not gone." "Good," she replied. "I wasn't finished teaching you Adam's family secrets yet." Harry grinned weakly, then turned to Dumbledore. "The fragment. Before it disappeared, it said Voldemort was still out there. That he'd return." Dumbledore nodded gravely. "I fear that is correct, Harry. The fragment in your scar was but one piece of a shattered whole. Lord Voldemort took extraordinary measures to ensure his immortality. The prophecy said I have to face him eventually. Perhaps. But prophecies are fulfilled in many ways, not always the most obvious ones." Dumbledore smiled kindly. "And as Miss Adams reminded the fragment, you will not face him alone. The ministry officials insisted on taking Harry to St. Mungo's for observation, despite his protests that he felt fine. After much negotiation, it was agreed that he would spend one night there for monitoring, with the entire Adams family permitted to accompany him, a concession the hospital staff would soon regret. While the adults finalized arrangements, Wednesday and Harry sat on the steps outside the ritual chamber, still processing what had happened. "I can't speak to snakes anymore," Harry noted, watching a small garden snake slither past without understanding its hissing. "It really is gone." "A worthy sacrifice," Wednesday said. "And a strategic advantage. Voldemort won't be able to possess you through that connection anymore." "But we kept ours. We made it ourselves. It wasn't forced on us by a killing curse." Harry nodded, then asked hesitantly, "What do you think happens now? With the prophecy and everything?" "Now," Wednesday said decisively, "you become powerful enough that when you do face him again, you'll destroy him completely." "How?" You're not just anything," she interrupted. "You survived a killing curse as a baby. You resisted possession by a soul fragment for 7 years. You performed an ancient soul-severing ritual and lived. And you have me." Harry smiled at that. "Yeah, that last one's pretty terrifying all by itself." "As it should be." Their conversation was interrupted by Mother, gliding down the stairs with unnatural grace. "Children, it's time to leave for St. Mungo's. Lurch has the hearse ready." They followed her upstairs, where the family had gathered in the entrance hall. Father was enthusiastically explaining medieval torture devices to a horrified ministry witch. Pugsley was attempting to feed something suspicious to Thing. Uncle Fester was demonstrating his ability to light a bulb in his mouth to several fascinated Aurors. "One big, happy, terrifying family," Harry murmured to Wednesday. "You're part of it now," she reminded him. "For better or worse." "Definitely better than the Dursleys." A low bar. As they prepared to leave for the hospital, Dumbledore pulled Harry aside for a private word. Wednesday, naturally, eavesdropped without shame. "Harry, I want you to know how proud I am of your courage tonight," the old wizard said kindly. "And how sorry I am that you've had to face so much at such a young age." "It's okay, Professor," Harry replied. "I'm not alone anymore." "Indeed you are not." Dumbledore's eyes twinkled as he glanced at Wednesday, pretending not to listen. "Your friendship with Miss Adams is quite remarkable. Unexpected, but perhaps exactly what was needed." "Sir. What happens when I turn 11? Will I still go to Hogwarts?" "If you wish to, certainly. Though I suspect the Sorting Hat will have an interesting challenge with you now." "Because of the Adamses' influence?" "Precisely. You've been raised with a rather unique perspective on magic." Harry grinned. "Grandmama says light and dark are just labels created by frightened people who don't understand true power." Dumbledore coughed delicately. "Yes, well, Madame Adams has certainly formed her own philosophical stance on magical theory." "I like it here," Harry said simply. "I like learning both kinds of magic." "Both are valuable in their way," Dumbledore conceded. "Though I would caution moderation in some of the Adams family's more enthusiastic practices." "You mean like the ritual raising of great-great-grandfather Alphonse next Halloween?" "I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that," Dumbledore said mildly. "The Ministry has enough concerns about your current guardianship arrangement without adding necromancy to the list." The journey to St. Mungo's proved eventful. The Adams family hearse, enchanted to fly for the occasion, drew considerable attention from Muggles below. Grandmama's insistence on bringing several suspicious-looking potion ingredients resulted in a brief detention by hospital security. Uncle Fester accidentally set fire to the welcome witch's desk with one of his harmless inventions. By the time Harry was settled in a private room for observation, half the hospital staff was demanding hazard pay for dealing with the Adams family, while the other half had fled on suddenly remembered vacation days. "I don't see why they're so upset," Father commented, twirling his mustache as he surveyed the smoking remains of a diagnostic device that had exploded when used on Harry. A little chaos is good for the constitution. Keeps the reflexes sharp, Mother agreed, elegantly perched on the edge of Harry's hospital bed. The night passed relatively peacefully, aside from Pugsley's brief imprisonment in the dangerous bites ward after attempting to borrow a venomous tentacula for his collection. By morning, the healers were so eager to discharge Harry that they barely completed their final examinations before signing his release papers. All clear, announced the head healer, maintaining a safe distance from the assembled Addams family. Mr. Potter shows no signs of possession, dark magic residue, or soul fragmentation. He's free to go, preferably immediately. Marvelous! Father exclaimed. Just in time for the family's annual Execution Day celebration. The healer paled. I don't want to know. Historical reenactments, Mother explained smoothly. The children do love their guillotine practice. As they departed the hospital, Grandmama surreptitiously filling her pockets with samples from the potion storage, Wednesday noticed a change in Harry. He walked taller, smiled more easily, and his eyes had a clarity that had been missing before. The shadow of the fragment was truly gone. You look different, she projected to him as they climbed into the hearse. I feel different. Whole. Like I'm finally just me. Good. The real Harry Potter is much more interesting than Voldemort anyway. His mental laughter bubbled through their connection, bright and unrestrained. The return to Addams Manor featured an impromptu celebration, with Grandmama preparing a feast of questionable delicacies and Uncle Fester providing entertainment in the form of minor explosions timed to Lurch's organ playing. Late that night, Wednesday found Harry in the East Tower, where he often went to think. He sat by the window, looking out at the moors bathed in moonlight. I had a letter from Dumbledore, he said as she joined him. He's starting the search for the other Horcruxes. Without telling the Ministry, Wednesday guessed. Harry nodded. He says it's too sensitive. Too dangerous for many people to know. He's right. Knowledge is power. He also said. Harry hesitated. He also said that when the time comes, I might be able to help find them. Because of my connection to Voldemort. Your connection is gone, Wednesday pointed out. Not completely. The fragment is gone, but Dumbledore thinks I might still have some link to the main soul piece. Nothing like before, just echoes, impressions. Wednesday frowned. She didn't like the idea of Harry maintaining any connection to Voldemort. We'll monitor it. Make sure it doesn't become a vulnerability. That's what I thought you'd say. Harry smiled at her. Always planning for the worst. It's the Addams way. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching as clouds drifted across the moon. In the distance, an owl hooted mournfully. 3 years until Hogwarts, Harry said finally. Seems like a long time. We have much to learn before then, Wednesday agreed. Grandmama's teaching us blood magic next week. Mother wants to start on ancient curses by summer. And Father insists you need proper fencing lessons. With real swords, he mentioned. Preferably rusty ones for character building. Tetanus builds immunity to lesser poisons. Harry laughed. You know, sometimes I wonder what would have happened if you hadn't connected with me that first night. If you hadn't found me. You'd still be in that cupboard. Miserable. Unaware of your potential. And you'd be bored, with no one to rescue from abusive relatives and soul fragments. A tragic loss, Wednesday agreed solemnly, though the corner of her mouth twitched slightly. From below came the sound of another explosion, followed by Uncle Fester's maniacal laughter and Mother's musical admonishment not to destroy the East Wing before breakfast. Home sweet home, Harry murmured, looking more content than Wednesday had ever seen him. Our home, she corrected through their connection. For as long as you want it to be. Forever, then, came his immediate reply. Or at least until Hogwarts. And even then, this is where I'll come back to. Wednesday nodded, satisfied with this answer. The Addams family had claimed Harry Potter as one of their own, fragment or no fragment. Whatever prophecies, Dark Lords, or ministry officials might say, his place was with them now. And Wednesday Addams, who had never wanted or needed a friend before that fateful night when her mind had touched his, found herself surprisingly pleased with this arrangement. Harry was interesting. Powerful. Different. Like an Addams. Together, they watched the moon disappear behind storm clouds, the familiar darkness settling over the moors like a comfortable blanket. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new magic, new preparations for whatever Voldemort might eventually become. But tonight, all was well in the house of Addams. The boy with the lightning scar had found his place among the darkness, and discovered that sometimes, the things most people feared were exactly what he needed to feel at home. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.